Podcast. The Keep Leading Podcast is dedicated to leadership development and insights. I'm your host, Eddie Turner. I work with emerging and experienced leaders to accelerate performance and drive impact through the power of executive coaching, masterful facilitation, and professional keynote speeches. Today, I'm broadcasting live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Feel free to share the link with your colleagues so they can hear this discussion later, or if they have time, even join it now with you to be part of our discussion. As an executive coach, I think I know a lot about this topic. And then I was introduced to a man who's literally written the book on executive coaching, but taking it to another level. What does it take to be the executive coach to chief leaders in organizations, those CXOs, as some might call them? My guest today argues that it's a little bit more than what might be best serving the rest of an organization. And to be effective at that level, you have to open up a different set of tools. So I wanted to know more about that. So I wanted to read his book and talk to him about his book, Chief Executive Officer. My guest today is called The #1 Executive Coach in the United Arab Emirates by none less than the world's #1 executive coach, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. My guest today is Dr. Corrie Block. Corrie, welcome to the Keep Leading Podcast.
Thank you so much, Eddie. It is such a privilege to be here. I'm so excited. Finally. And you were like, you're like, I'm an executive coach and I'm a speaker and I'm a trainer. And I'm like, I'm that too, but I'm not as good as you. And I'm just aspiring to be like Eddie.
Oh, no. In fact, the other powerful thing about your book that we want folks to be able to grab wherever it's available is that Chief Executive Coach. I'd expect it to have endorsements by chief executive officers, as you do. Some of the top corporations have endorsed your book, but you also went to the luminaries in the coaching field. So when Marshall Goldsmith, the world's #1 executive coach and thought leader, endorses your book, when Dr. Marsha Reynolds, the #1 female executive coach, endorses your book, and there's so many other people who I saw there, I can't remember all the names now, that's saying something because they don't put their endorsement on something lightly. Oh, and I can't forget Jeff Hazlitt. I don't know where's James. Jeffrey Hazlitt, the CEO of the C-Suite Network, has also endorsed this book.
Yeah, like I'm so honored because these people were my gurus and now they're my friends. Like Marshall and Stephen M. R. Covey, whenever they come through Dubai, we have lunch, we talk, and it's look, I'm not name dropping now. I'm just fanboying. Okay, so I'm actually like, I've been a huge fan for years, and then suddenly they want to have lunch with me, and I'm like, oh my God, right? And this is actually happening. But honestly, I think the biggest reaction that I got from really highly established coaches in the industry was, thank God somebody said it out loud, because we all talk about it. We all talk about it, the fact that non-advisory or Socratic coaching is a really great set of tools, but actually doesn't add value at the C-suite level. And when we're dealing with a CEO of 80,000 employees, they really need an Olympic set of tools. You know, like my coaching roster represents about 500,000 employees at the moment, which is great. I'm honored by that. But that means that the CEOs that I'm working with, each of them would be representing an average of about 50,000 families. And the decisions they make every day are either going to serve those families or take money away from those families. And so for that, you need an Olympic set of tools because they're Olympic level athletes.
That's a very powerful way of looking at it. Now, you jumped right in. I was going to ask you a couple other things first, but you jumped right into it. So let's go there.
I'm an open book, mate. I'm an open book. Whatever you want to know.
You said that a lot of people are so happy you said it, that you said it out loud. Said what?
Yeah. I just said that that executive coaching is a niche and it can't be seen as standard coaching. Like it's a debate that I had with Magdalena Mook, actually, because So Magdalena is the president and CEO of ICF, the International Coaching Federation. I'm a huge fan. I'm a big fan of Magdalena. She's a great leader. She's an absolutely fantastic leader. And I'm a big fan of ICF. It's an amazing organization. But when you market non-advisory or Socratic coaching as executive coaching, then what it does is it spoils the industry, because then executives are getting in front of coaches that are just asking rhetorical questions, thinking, look, if I ask the right questions, you have enough information and insight that you'll just solve your own problems. But that's not what you need at the Olympic level. Okay. At the Olympic level, they didn't get there by being unsure of themselves or not looking through all of their options. They're very good at decision making in order to get there. What they need are tactics and strategies and information and viewpoints that they haven't seen before. They need somebody in between a business strategist and a psychologist. And if you have that blend of skills, then you can add value. But otherwise, like a good deal of CEOs that I talk to, they say, oh, I've tried executive coaching and it's not for me. And then I ask them about their experience, and they tell me about an ICF certified coach that asked them questions. And they're like, yeah, it's not adding value. And to be sure, Eddie, the most expensive piece of my coaching isn't my fee. It's their time. Okay. Their time, not just in missed labor cost, but in missed opportunity cost, because they're not making other decisions while they're listening to me and being with me. So if I'm not able to add value to their level of play within an hour, I don't deserve to be in that room. And that is the job of an executive coach, is to improve the executive performance of an executive in their job. That's executive coaching. And you can't just do that if all you have is one set of tools.
Now that's powerful. And I have to ask you, you said that you made this statement to Magdalena Mook, the CEO of the International Coaching Federation. And what was her response?
Oh, she's lovely. She said, well, listen, we have 55,000 registered coaches around the world. And I think that earns us the right to define what coaching is. And I said, look, I understand what you're saying. And I would definitely go to McDonald's for a definition of what burger is. But I would definitely exclude McDonald's if I was looking for a definition of craft burger, because craft makes the burger a niche. And by definition, that level of burger, you have to discount the viewpoint of the volume producer in order to define the high level niche, right? Like there's fashion, and then there's luxury fashion, and there's coaching, and then there's executive coaching. And by nature of the fact that you're the most volume producer of certifications in the world, like you've disqualified yourself from defining what executive coaching is, because that's the height of coaching. And it's the same in athletics, right? There's a difference between a football coach and an Olympic football coach. Just because you can coach football doesn't mean you can coach an Olympic football team, and they're not going to derive value from what you offer. You have to have a specific level of acumen and studies and skill and strategy, and it's a whole different level of play. So I think we agreed to disagree on that point. But yeah, I'm defining what craft burger means for my industry, and this is my definition. That's it right there.
Well, that's and I must say, for the record, full disclosure, obviously I'm an ICF certified coach. I've bought into the organization, the rigor, the philosophy, and all of that. So this is intriguing. In fact, when I was reading your book, you made a statement here. You said, if you're an ICF certified coach, you may be having an emotional allergy to this already. I laughed. I laughed.
Yeah, I know.
Because yes, everything you're saying goes totally against what we've been taught, right? But because I've also been trained in different schools for coaching.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. I can hold both thoughts simultaneously, right? And so, and that's why I also found it interesting that Marsha endorsed your book, because she's a
this is what's really important. Yeah, it's really important to recognize. I'm not saying ICF coaching is bad. I'm saying it's insufficient. That's it. It's a kind of coaching. Yes. But if that's all you have, then that's what you think is going to solve the world, right? If all you have is a hammer, then the whole world is a nail. So if ICF, if non-advisory Socratic coaching is the only set of tools you have, you'll think that everything. And honestly, it's a brilliant business move, right? Like if you can convince people if you can sell people a credential that says anyone can coach anyone else in anything, well, then the whole world is your market, right? And then the rest of the world is their market. It's brilliant. It's really brilliant from a business standpoint. And it's great for the coaches, but not so much for the Olympic level executives, right? Like,
Yes.
if you look at the athletic world, okay, the top, all of the first chair violins at every Philharmonic in the world have a violin coach. It's the violin coach's job to coach the violin player to play better violin, but they're not asking the violin player what they think they should do to get better. Okay. And it's the same at the Olympic level, right? Michael Phelps, the most awarded Olympian in all of history, his coach was Bob Bowman through all 5 Olympic games, right? 39 world records and 28 medals. Bob Bowman, I guarantee you, never asked Michael, hey, what do you think you should do to get better? No, that's not Olympic coaching. Okay. Yes, it's a Socratic method. It is a kind of coaching and it's a set of tools, but that's not what Michael Phelps needs. That's not what the first chair violin player needs. And that is certainly not what any CEO that I've ever worked with needs.
Okay. So what do they need? Right? Because you mentioned earlier that they need something between a psychologist and a business strategist. You have 4 different degrees where you've got 4 different graduate degrees, right? MBA, a couple other masters, a PhD, and all kind of things, right? So, does for executives looking for that next tier coach, do they need somebody with all those degrees like yourself? And then where do we find these people?
Look, the degrees, no. I would say, look, for me, minimum requirement is a master's degree either in psychology or business, right? So an MBA or a master's in psychology, only because at the master's degree, you learn how to learn better. At the PhD level, you learn that you'll never know anything at all, right? Like you finally have access to so much information that you learn that you'll never be reasonably confident about your conclusion about anything because you can't interact with enough information fast enough. So it really humbles you in a doctorate degree. But yeah, I think for people who are coaching at the CEO level in organizations with 1,000 or more employees in it, a minimum requirement is a master's degree in either psychology or business, 10 years in business, or either 10 years in psychology or 10 years in business. And then the research is really clear. Actually, it's super interesting. It actually doesn't matter if you come from business and learn psychology to become an executive coach, or if you come from psychology and learn business to become an executive coach. Both of those paths tend to be really, really effective. What's not effective is if you avoid either of them. If you come from just business and you're only counting on your previous experience, then you're subject to knowledge half-life, right? The knowledge half-life in business is about 5 years. In technology, it's about 2 years. So if you take a CEO who's been, CEO in a technology firm, and they've been out of the top job for 4 years, all of their experience is worth about 25% of what it would have been because of the knowledge half-life of the industry. So what they need then is they need high-level coaching experience, and they need continuous development. And that you get by not just certifications and degrees, obviously, but by devouring books, learning new toolkits, studying psychology, podcasts, having great conversations with people like Stephen Covey and Marshall Goldsmith really help, because we're trying to forward the industry at the same time. But yes, at that level, at the Olympic level, an Olympic athlete needs an Olympic coach. And the Olympic coach can't play the game as well as their athlete can, but they can coach their athlete at their athlete's level of play. And that's a huge.
Thank you for that definition. So that definition now gives executives looking for a coach a set of standards to look for, but then also for coaches, a set of standards to aspire to.
100%.
What else?
100%.
What else is missing?
We need more people. We need more people. Like, I can't possibly meet the demand in my market. Okay, we've got thousands of high-level CEOs and executives, and just in the UAE, I can't possibly do that, right? My whole coaching roster is 12. I take 12 and then I'm done. That is it, because I care about my clients and I want to invest in them, and I'm looking at their level of play and I'm helping each of them in their particular game. So yeah, like, we really just need thousands of more amazing executive coaches, and there's not enough of us on the field that are capable of coaching a CEO of a large organization at their level of play. We need more. We're starving.
Okay, very insightful. And is that what motivated you to write this book?
Yeah, actually, interesting, Eddie, because all of my books are a product of my irritation with the world. Okay.
Okay.
So I study. That's one way to sit down and pick up the pen.
Okay.
I don't.
That's one way to sit down and pick up the pen.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't play golf, and I don't watch football. I don't watch any sports at all. I read, I write journal articles, and because my wife has forbidden me from doing a third doctorate degree, I write a book every year. And so
Okay.
the book that I write every year is a product of something that I'm irritated about. And so like 2 years ago, it was love at work. I was irritated about the fact that like the highest quality of relationship between two people is intentionally exiled from the place where we spend the most time with other people. That didn't seem logical to me. So I wrote a book about that because I couldn't find it. You know, I was looking around for, I think Simon Sinek would have done a better job. Amy Edmondson would have definitely done a better job than I did, but nobody had written a book on the highest form of leadership, which is also love. And I felt obliged to write it. Yeah. So I'm irritated that I had to write that. And then I'm irritated that I had to write chief executive coach, because it just seemed to me that I was having too many conversations with executives whose performance would 100% improve, which means that they would make more money personally because they would meet their KPIs targets and get their bonuses faster, and the board would love them more. That's what actually happens. And their companies would make more money because, well, culture starts at the top, right? So if a CEO's performance goes up, the entire organization's performance goes up. The research behind this is so solid. We know this. So why boards of directors aren't requiring executive coaching for their Olympic level CEOs is absolutely beyond me. They're not just robbing the CEO of their best game, right? They're not just robbing them of their highest development as an individual, but the company of its best performance, and their shareholders of their maximum profits. They're taking money out of people's hands and leaving it on the table because they don't want to offend the CEO and say, hey, listen, at this level of play, you kind of need to show up to the Olympics with a coach. That's a minimum requirement now.
Well, that is
And
a good point, because not everyone is doing that, but some are certainly. And one of the most famous was when Eric Schmidt was running Google. He cited the fact that one of the chair of his board, who was a big believer in power coaching, insisted that he get a coach, and he said he didn't need one. And then the big soundbite a lot of us as coaches have repurposed is that 30 seconds where he talks about the fact that every CEO needs a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not alone.
From his board.
And you know, his coach was Bill Campbell. So Bill Campbell was Eric Schmidt's coach. Yeah. So interestingly,
but
Bill Campbell wasn't all that.
John Doerr was the chair of the board who insisted that he get the coach. Yes.
100%. And he was right. And he was right. Do you know why he was right? Because you don't know who Brian Pinkerton is.
Yes.
Do you know? Of course not. Brian Pinkerton invented web crawler, which did exactly the same service as Google did. He had a 4-year first mover advantage. Okay. 4 years first mover advantage, Brian Pinkerton and web crawler. But you don't know about him because in 1998, Google had Bill Campbell. And Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, and Sundar Pichai were all coached by Bill Campbell. He was consistent for all of them. And Bill Campbell was never as business successful as any of them. Okay. His last major global post was he was the head of sales for Kodak when Kodak was tanking in the late 90s, you know, when everything was switching to digital and Kodak was hanging on to film. Like it was, his career wasn't illustrious enough for him to have that kind of influence. And yet there he was. And that's the difference between web crawler and Google. And that's why you know all of these people's names, is because when you have a really high performing team and really Olympic level athletes, coaching is a benefit for talent. It's not therapy. It's not cheerleading.
Yes.
And it's certainly not Socratic.
Well, IT was my first career, and I did it in the 90s when a lot of that stuff was developing. So
you're not that old, Eddie. Come on now. You're not.
I know the web crawler story and Netscape and all that, right? And that whole genesis of something was unfolding. I don't necessarily remember everybody's names, like the guy that started it, Mark Anderson. You know, all those guys, right? So all of that was, my time, right? And I still get jazzed on that.
Yeah.
I switched over to this stuff later. But IT, especially and when all this stuff was becoming a big deal, so that you and I could talk about that for a long time. But also this concept of love at work, I love what you said about that. It sounds like we should do another interview, but I love that concept as well. So this is really powerful. Go ahead.
Thanks, man.
This is really powerful.
I'm happy to do another interview on love at work next time.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know how I missed that when I was doing I always do my little prep before the sessions. But so this is also something that I want you to talk about, because this can be very controversial as well.
Sure.
Does an executive coach need experience as an executive to be an executive coach?
Scientifically, no. The research is showing that if you have experience as a psychologist, you can learn enough business to be useful to your executive in their level of play, because a good deal of business at that level really is psychology. It's leadership, management, negotiations, confidence, decision making, and all of that is frameworked on evolutionary and currency psychology. So it's just, if you have a psychology background, you can bring that in and learn the business. Otherwise, yeah, it helps to have some experience in the game. It would be like, okay, look, you can coach an Olympic athlete, but you're going to be better if you have some experience doing sports. Even if you were never a winner yourself, if you've done sports mechanically, it helps, right? But just remember, Bob Bowman, who was Michael Phelps's coach through 5 Olympic Games, right? He was never a competitive swimmer. He swam, I think, for his university team for about 18 months in the mid 80s. But, swimming in 1985 and swimming in 2000, when Michael took the first Olympic medal, it was a completely different sport, right? So it helps to understand a bit of the mechanics, but I guarantee you Bob Bowman's experience in swimming was not valuable when he was coaching Michael Phelps. What was really valuable was his experience coaching swimmers and breaking down. Oh, actually, it was interesting. Michael called him a master tactician, right? Somebody with formulas and methods. He broke down every stroke, right? He took everything apart, and then he would fix one thing at a time until Michael was moving perfectly through the water. And that was Bob's his gift, was be able to analyze Michael's level of play, pick it apart, and then develop tactics and practices and exercises to help him fix every tiny little level of play. And that's what a good executive coach does, is we look at the level of play of our executive. We say, okay, where could performance improve? How can we improve on trust, collaboration, information sharing, decision-making quality, input-seeking behavior? There's a lot of these things that we take into consideration, but you can come from psychology and learn the business game, or you can come from business and learn the psychology game. But both, I think, are necessary at the executive level.
And there's a lot happening in the industry right now. It's in a state of transition, and we might even say it's under assault, as every industry is, because of AI. Where do you see executive coaches, or the profession of executive coaching at large, I should say, headed over the next 5 years?
Yeah, look, I don't think AI is going to replace coaching, but I think coaches that use it will replace those that don't. So it's like any technology, email, computers, calculators before that. Adopting technology helps you to stay in your role. It doesn't get you ahead, right? But those who use it will end up outgrowing those who don't. And that's just the way that it is. You can age out of coaching if you don't learn how to augment yourself with artificial intelligence. So AI is really actually helping in terms of psychometrics and synthesis, team building. So again, you take the team psychometrics from, let's say you do an MBTI, 5 types, and a Gallup StrengthsFinder, for example. You can plug all that into GPT-5, and it'll come up with a great synthesis for you, and it'll tell you where the strengths and weaknesses are in each of the pairs for each of the people on the executive committee, and it'll tell you what their stress behavior is probably going to look like and the triggers that they're probably going to exhibit. Well, that saves me tons of time. Okay. And that's the starting place for the conversation when we're looking at a team's level of play at the executive level. You got 80,000 families in your care. You kind of want the executive committee to be performing at their natural best. And if I can get them there a week faster by using an AI, then that's great. But it's an augmentation, right? It's not a replacement.
Well, that's an interesting concept, right? That it's an augmentation rather than a replacement, because there are some places that are only giving their employees AI coaching. And there are other people that are saying, well, hey, I'm not going to hire a real coach because I can just, run it through the different AIs that are out there and get the answers I need.
Look, at a mid-management level, I think they're right. I do. I think AI can replace most of what mid-management need from an executive coach. At the highest level of play, you're dealing with Olympians, right? So by definition, I'll give you a parallel. Here in the UAE, we have 3 airlines, okay? We have 3 airlines, which means there are 3 CEOs of airlines in this country. Anytime you have only 3 people playing at the highest global level in your country, you have an Olympic sport. Okay, there are exactly two telecommunications CEOs in my country. That's it. When you have 2 people playing at the global level for your country, it's an Olympic level of sport. So you need somebody who's going to be able to help you to break a world record, whatever that might look like in telecommunications or aviation, FMCG, oil and gas. It's all the same. These CEOs are trying to lead their companies to do things that have never been done before. And that's the very definition of a world record. So when you do that, you're going to have a level of creativity that a derivative AI isn't going to be able to have, because they're dealing with information that's already been had, and their level of creativity still isn't up to the standard of, hey, listen, let's figure out how to make you run faster than any human has ever been measured running before. It's a different level of thought. So yeah, at the mid-management level, I can see it like helping you process business decisions and negotiations and interpersonal conflict. But at the executive level, you're going to need an Olympic coach.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. What's the most important message you want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I love you. And that's not weird. And it's not unprofessional. I love you. And there's nothing to do with romance or sexuality, because I love my mother and I love my kids. And it's okay for me to love you, because all that means is I'm going to use my resources to try to improve the quality of your life as much as I can for as long as you'll let me. And that is the most natural thing I can think of.
Okay. Is there a quote that you use that helps you to keep leading?
There's so many. Yeah. And it's actually from John Maxwell. Leadership is a follower-led sport. Managers are chosen by other managers, but leaders are chosen by followers. No leader is created by another leader. And we don't follow leaders because they're great. We follow leaders because doing so improves the quality of our lives somehow. We are deriving value from emulating them, from learning from them, from modeling after them. Whatever it is that they're doing improves our lives, because if it didn't, we wouldn't follow them. So John Maxwell also said famously, is like, if you want to know whether or not you're a leader, just look behind you, because if nobody's following you, you're just going for a walk.
Well said. Thank you very much. Dr. Corrie Block, please tell my listeners where they can learn more about you, follow you, and stay connected to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure that there'll be a link in the description to the video below. www.corrieblock.com is the easiest place to find me, and LinkedIn at Corrie Block. Splendid.
Yes. So this is going to be available wherever you get podcasts, because after this session, this will still live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. But also you'll be able to get it on Spotify, because this is part of the C-Suite Radio Network. We're turning up the volume on business. And so in all those show notes, you will see the links to Dr. Block so that you can access the content and go there. And a reminder that the show is also sponsored by Papillon DC, my friends out of Canada. When we're talking about coaching, how can we not mention that they have Decision X, a bespoke on-demand service designed to help your leaders overcome indecision and move forward with their work. So visit Papillon, PAPILLONMDC.ca to learn how you can advance your team, get them unstuck, shift perspective today. All right, Dr. Block, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. I could talk to you for hours. So we'll definitely have to get you back on, okay?
My pleasure, Eddie. So it's so good. And wherever you are, just, love somebody near you, okay?
All right, sounds good. That concludes this episode, everyone. Thank you for listening. I'm Eddie Turner, the Leadership Accelerator, reminding you that leadership is not about our title or our position. Leadership is action. Leadership is an activity. It's not the case of once a leader, always a leader. It's not a garment that we put on and take off. We must be a leader at our core and allow it to emanate in all we do. So whatever you're doing, always keep leading.